Well, we're here at the workbench, going to talk a little bit about some rigs and techniques, and it's paddle day. So we're going to talk also a little bit about taking the kayak out into the surf, which is a little bit different than the stealthy kind of sneaking up on a redfish type of thing that we usually talk about. It's a little bit more technical, a little more damp.
Yeah, and our guides kind of touched on it a little bit. I like that Bink mentioned, you have many different purposes as to why you'd want to go beyond the breakers.
Right.
He was talking about going to the second break, putting a shark bait out, or you can go out and catch the big bull reds.
Well, there's tarpon out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can catch.
King mackerel to catch, and even red snapper if you get out there far enough.
Yeah, and I think that the one thing that's the most important thing you have to do before even thinking about going out there is making sure you have all your safety equipment in check. Mike McFarland touched on it. Always have your PFD.
Yep, gotta be wearing that.
That's the most important thing. And then especially with it being Labor Day weekend, you want to have a visibility flag, and this is one that I really like to use because for storage purposes, it comes apart like this. You can strap it up, put it away.
People need to see you.
Yeah. VHF radio is really important, especially if you're going out alone, which I don't recommend. Always go with a buddy.
Always try to have a buddy, that's for sure.
Agree on a channel, get out there so you can communicate with each other. A headlamp's good if you're going out before the sun comes up. And then a dry bag is super important.
Yeah. It's always good if you hook up with a big fish to call your buddy and say, hey, man, I got a big one on. Come on over here. Because that's usually when things mess up.
That's usually when things can go wrong, too. Yeah. And then obviously I forgot this part right here, the rod leash. Paddle leash is super important. If you do flip, it's okay maybe if you lose a rod or two, but you don't want to lose your paddle. So absolutely strap in your paddle while you're heading out there.
I gotcha.
So the next thing you want to do is there's no shame in putting your kayak in a pool and practicing getting in and out of it. Like, you're going out in the surf, it's inevitable that there's going to be times where you do fall in.
You're going to flip it.
It's a matter of, can you get back in?
Exactly.
So it's okay to put your kayak in a pool, practice doing that, take it to the beach without your fishing equipment, and just practice maneuvering in the surf.
And then once you do take all your equipment, make sure that it's stuff that you can flip over and get back.
Yeah.
Make sure you keep it in something that's not going to get it wet and that you can retrieve it very easily.
Right.
I made that mistake a couple of times when I first started. That you bring too much stuff, and if you make that flip, then that stuff goes down.
Yeah, you want to travel light. I usually bring like 2 or 3 rods maximum.
Right.
I see guys go out there with like 8 rods, and I'm just like, ugh, that sounds like a scavenger hunt at the end of the day, and I'm not about that.
Well, unless you got 8 leashes, you'll look like an octopus if you flip that thing over.
Right. So next thing, once you're ready to go out there, the important thing you want to do is bring your kayak up to the water and just sit back for a few minutes, watch the waves, get an idea for the interval, when the break point is. And
kind of like a surfer would do.
Just like a surfer would do. But also add a few seconds to that because you want to give yourself time to get your kayak positioned, get in, get your paddle, and start getting that momentum. Because you do not want your kayak to turn parallel to the wave. You always want to be perpendicular, bow into the breaker, because if a wave does come and break on you, you're not going to flip, you're just going to get wet. And that's what we were talking about.
Right.
You're going to get wet. It's a water sport. Don't worry about that part.
What were you talking about, the scuppers earlier?
Yeah, and a big mistake that I see a lot of people make is they put their scupper plugs in thinking that's going to keep them dry. I'm like, this is a water sport, guys. Don't do that. They're there for a reason. Pull them out so the water drains if you do take on a wave.
Right.
So once you're out there, once you're fishing, you got to keep in mind that you're trolling. You are slow trolling all day. You're fighting a current. So you're going to get exhausted by the end of the day. And if you do catch fish that you're bringing back, your kayak's going to be heavier. So
it's going to add weight.
Yeah, a whole other ball game is coming back in, because it's a lot different than going back out. Your back's turned to the wave. There's a couple different methods that
Conditions can change during the day.
Conditions can change. Waves can get bigger. The wind can pick up. There's a few different methods that I like to use that I've done in the past. The first thing that I've done is a drift sock. So it's kind of similar to a sea anchor that you would have on a boat. They do make them specifically for kayaks. They're a little bit smaller. You can strap it to the back. Mm-hmm. So what'll happen is as you're paddling back to shore, if a wave does pick you up, the sea anchor or the drift sock, you can use a bucket as well. Will pull your kayak back so you don't take a nosedive and you won't tumble.
Yeah, which you don't want.
Yeah, so that's method number 1. Method number 2, and this is the one that I practice mostly, is paddle backwards. Okay. Before you get to the breakers, turn around, take your time, paddle backwards. When you see a wave getting bigger and it's about to break, use that momentum to put the bow right into it, and then just take your time and slowly get back to shore.
That way you can always keep attacking.
Yeah.
All right, you got about 45 seconds to tell me the last one here.
The last one is one that a lot of people avoid. I've done it once. I don't like doing it, but it does work. If it's really bad, conditions are nasty, you can jump in, hold on to the back of your kayak and just kind of ride it like you're
Go
boogie boarding.
surfing.
Go surfing.
That's probably how I would end up doing
Sometimes
it.
the
I might
conditions
start
get-
with the back pedal.
The
but I know
conditions
that
get bad, and that's actually an effective method, but it's like last resort.
It might be my first or second resort.
Well,
Because
some people don't like jumping in, you know?
I'm buoyant. So.
Wow.
Rick, would you do method number 3?
Absolutely not. That
your
is too
shark bait
close
out?
to being trolled like a ballyhoo.
You put your shark
You
bait
wouldn't
out.
even put the kayak in the
Make
water.
no mistake about it, guys. You ain't gonna see me doing the mamby-pamby thing behind the kayak. No, sir.